Hey, do you know why I am alive? Well, I'll tell you.
Members of Congress, I have the high privilege and the distinct honor of presenting to you the President of the United States.
Yes, that's right. We're back again. And it's fun as we're all here. Tonight with Hilariousness with NeSe, I got my special guest,
Desigokey. Bonjour, everybody.
and tonight we are going to be discussing, as playing in the background, the Presidential State of the Union by our 40 President Donald Trump.
Oh.
Thank you so much for being here. And
Mr. Speaker, Mr. Vice President, members of Congress, First Lady of the United States, and my fellow Americans.
of course, he had to say the First Lady once he just got in trouble with that sleeping with the porn star, allegedly.
Right?
In this majestic chamber, to speak on behalf of the American people and to address their concerns, their hopes, and their dreams.
A chamber that in the background has fasci.
Administration had already taken very swift action. A new tide of optimism was already sweeping.
I believe more executive orders in his first year than any other president in history.
I believe you are correct there.
Mission to make America great again for all Americans.
America the corporation, or America the country, which we are all products / citizens to? This is the question. We're going to try to do most of our commentary during the applauses and try to refrain from talking while he's talking, but it is very difficult to not want to scream.
Last year, we have made incredible progress and achieved extraordinary success. We have faced challenges we expected and others we could never have imagined. We
But
have
somebody
shared
did imagine
the
it.
victory and the pains of hardship. We have endured floods and fires and storms. But through it all, we have seen the beauty of America's soul and the steel in America's spine. Each test has forged new American heroes to remind us who we are and show us what we can be. We saw the volunteers of the Cajun Navy racing to the rescue with their fishing boats to save people in the aftermath of a totally devastating hurricane.
Which I believe was weather modification and manipulation to purposely do a test to see what would occur if such devastation would happen in an area.
Of Americans like Coast Guard Petty Officer Ashley Leopard, who is here tonight in the gallery with Melania.
Hamming it up.
Yes, and absolutely we have to give credit to those people that do such distinguishing things to save lives, because they do deserve their reward. But is this just blatantly obvious things that he's just placating to look at who I'm congratulating? I would rather hear more stuff about what he's doing.
Ashley was aboard one of the first helicopters on the scene in Houston during the Hurricane Harvey. Through 18 hours of wind and rain, Ashley braved live power lines and deep water to help save more than 40 lives.
Ashley did her job, and a phenomenal job she did, and I am proud of her too, and happy that we have Ashley's there. But once again, I want to hear what this president and his administrative team, his cabinet have done and what they're going to do.
We heard about Americans like firefighter David Dahlberg. He's here with us also. David faced down walls of flame to rescue almost 60 children trapped at a California summer camp threatened by those devastating wildfires.
Absolutely. And then what about, where did those wildfires come from? How did they originate?
We We are with you, we love you, and we always will pull through together, always.
I've never seen so many standing ovations in my life.
Well, which is really crazy because apparently there was some Congress people that said that due to their distaste for the president that they were not going to stand during his speech.
Thank you to David and the brave people
We could
of
see
California.
half the
Thank you very much,
crowd
David.
is not standing, and the other half
Some
is
trials over
most of the
past
time
year
for a
touched
standing
this
ovation.
chamber very personally. With us tonight is one of the toughest people ever to serve in this house. A guy who took a bullet, almost died, and was back to work 3.5 months later. The legend from Louisiana, Congressman Steve
The
Scalise.
legend. Come on.
Another controversy of the occurrence of what actually is the truth, what occurred in that incident involving this person. But again, why the deep digging of why are these specific people being paraded and honored or exonerated or just it goes back to why these individuals were picked.
I think they like you, Steve.
It's supposed to be addressing the nation, not
We're incredibly
honoring
grateful for the heroic
individuals
efforts of the Capitol
as such.
Police officers, the Alexandria Police, and the doctors, nurses, and paramedics who saved his life and the lives of many others, some in this room. In the aftermath, yes.
And ironically, those Capitol Police just did some kind of faux pas by allowing a garbage truck to be on the railroad tracks, which potentially could have caused major chaotic occurrences with the politicians and allegedly their families on the
In
train.
the aftermath of that terrible shooting, we came together, not as Republicans.
I should have counted the standing ovations, but I think we're already up to 7.
But it is
of them.
not enough to come together
And it's
only
not even a
in
quarter of a
times
way into it.
tragedy. Tonight, I call upon all of us to set aside our differences, to seek out common ground, and to summon the unity we need to deliver for the people. This is really the key. These are the people we were elected to serve.
The key is that the key that they were elected to serve. But yet as we look into the voter tampering with all of these voter machines, was he elected? Was he selected? Was he groomed for this position?
Over the last year, the world has seen what we always knew, that no people on earth are so fearless or daring or determined as Americans. If there is a mountain
No people.
we climb,
Yet there are people that are willing to strap bombs on themselves and blow up other people.
if
And
there's an
thank the
opportunity,
powers that
this is-
are that they're not
So
Americans
let's begin tonight
or
by
Manchurian
recognizing
candidates.
that the state of our union is strong because our people are strong.
The state of our ununion is confusion. What is happening? Why is it happening? How is it happening?
And together we are building a safe, strong, and proud America. Since the election, we have created 2.4 million new jobs, including
2.4 million.
200,000 new jobs in manufacturing alone. Tremendous numbers.
Which I believe is the
Years
prison
and years of
corporation.
wage stagnation. We are finally seeing rising wages.
With a standing ovation.
For corporate board members in the higher tier.
Employment claims have hit a 45-year low.
Now, if you take and research how many people lost their unemployment,
Something I'm very proud of. African American unemployment stands at the lowest rate ever recorded.
because they're thrown in prisons for slave labor in the prison corporations, or they've been kicked off of their unemployment.
And Hispanic American unemployment has also reached the lowest levels in history.
Because as the undocumented become the documented, then they have a job, so jobs are created.
Small business confidence is at an all-time high. The stock market has smashed one record after another, gaining $8 trillion and more in value in just this short period of time.
Yet they're becoming extinct because of Walmarts and Lowe's and Home Depots and huge box office stores.
401k, retirement pension, and college savings accounts have gone through the roof. And just as I promised the American people from this podium 11 months ago, we enacted the biggest tax cuts and reforms in American history.
And again, the 1% received the greatest amount of ratio of those tax hikes. Yet, when he was talking about unemployment, was there any mention about the Native Americans?
Never heard, none. No mention at all.
Interesting. Shall we hear anything about the Native Americans?
Probably not at all.
Our
Darn near
massive tax
guarantee it.
cuts provide tremendous relief for the middle class and small business. To lower tax rates for hardworking Americans, we nearly doubled the standard deduction for everyone.
However, as the middle class and small businesses are going extinct,
$4,000 earned by a married couple is completely tax-free. We also doubled the child tax credit.
right, because if they claim to give us any type of monetary credit, then they get to write it off as a loss.
$5,000 will see their tax bill reduced by $2,000, slashing their tax bill in half.
The average income on a Native American reservation is under $11,000
In April,
a year.
this will be
What?
the last time you will ever file under the old and very broken system, and millions of Americans will have more take-home pay starting next month. A lot more.
Again, promises that we want to hear, placating to the hopes and dreams of the Cinderella
We
story.
eliminated an especially cruel tax that fell mostly on Americans, making less than $50,000 a year, forcing them to pay tremendous penalties simply because they couldn't afford government-ordered health plans. We repealed the core of the disastrous Obamacare. The individual mandate is now gone.
So the very nice thing would be to return that money for the people if they took it away. However, when he became president, did he at all say, hey, I don't like all these other executive orders, I'm going to get rid of them?
We slashed the business tax rate from 35% all the way down to 21%, so American companies can compete and win against anyone else anywhere in the world.
And here we go, more powers to the huge corporations, because it's all
Are
business.
estimated to increase average family income by more than $4,000. A lot of money.
as usual, that
Small businesses have also received a massive tax cut and can now deduct 20% of their business income. Here tonight are Steve Staub and Sandy Keplinger of Staub Manufacturing, a small, beautiful business in Ohio. They've just finished the best year in their 20-year history.
now I am willing to put money on it that for every good story you hear about small business, you're going to find 10 horrible stories. And am I being pessimistic?
Not at all. No.
Maybe, but do your research.
Yep.
Placating to what we want to hear.
They are handing out raises, hiring an additional 14 people, and expanding into the building next door. Good feeling.
So then now, if they really want to be doing something,
One of Staub's employees,
shouldn't there be
Corey
a...
Adams is also with us tonight. Corey is an all-American worker. He supported himself through high school, lost his job during the 2008 recession, and was later hired by Staub, where he trained to become a welder. Like many hardworking Americans, Corey plans to invest his tax cut raise into his new home and his two daughters' education. Corey, please stand.
a trade. Not that there's anything wrong with learning a trade. However, a trade is where it's something that's physical, that puts wear and tear or major discomfort over a long period on the body. So they're literally blood, sweat, and tears working.
I was told that by the man that owns that company.
Hard jobs.
So congratulations, Corey. Since we passed tax cuts, roughly 3 million workers have already gotten tax cut bonuses. Many of them thousands and thousands of dollars per worker, and it's getting more every month, every week. Apple has just announced it plans to invest a total of $350 billion in America and hire another 20,000 workers.
Another major corporation making money, and if you want to do anything about the NSA and Apple, take a bite, Eve. Take a bite, people of the Apple.
Just a little while ago, ExxonMobil announced a $50 billion investment in the United States. Just a little while ago.
Yes, if you let us create more pipelines, if you could let us
This, in fact, is our
drive
true American moment.
weapons of mass destruction, oil tankers through these small towns
So
and
to
cities.
every citizen watching at home tonight, no matter where you've been or where you've come from, this is your time. If you work hard, if you believe in yourself, if you believe in America, then you can dream anything. You can be anything. And together, we can achieve absolutely anything.
Anything. Anti-gravity? Free energy?
The world grid.
Wings on our back? Anything? I would say not anything. Being a definitive statement, it therefore is false.
Future we're going to have and what kind of a nation we're going to be. All of us together as one team, one people, and one American family can do anything. We all share the same home, the same heart, the same destiny, and the same great American flag.
Okay, everything before the flag is a redundant statement. It's everything we know. We can't argue on it. But because we wrap ourselves in this flag of what colors?
Red, white, and blue.
Together we are rediscovering the American way. In America, We know that faith
And does it have
family, not
yellow
government
fringe around
and
it?
bureaucracy, are the center of
None
American life. The motto
that I can.
is "In God We Trust."
Whoa.
Who's God? Who's God? What definition of God? And it says, "In God we trust," on the dollar bill.
Well,
So what document is he
And
stating
we celebrate our police,
that
our
refers to?
military, and our amazing veterans as heroes who deserve our total and unwavering support.
I'd love that support. I think I'm going to call Washington tomorrow and ask them where my support is. Because I could use some support. Anybody you want to come help me, I'll take the support. Please. Because the VA isn't giving it to me.
Tonight is Preston Sharp, a 12-year-old boy from Redding, California, who noticed that veterans' graves were not marked with flags.
Made in China.
He decided all by himself to change that and started a movement that has now placed 40,000 flags at the graves of our great heroes. Preston, a job well done.
Each costing $500 a piece. Made in China. This I don't know. However, if they're made out of cannabis, like the original flags were, by all means, wave the flag.
Young patriots like Preston teach all of us about our civic duty as Americans.
He
And I
said
met
duty.
him a little while ago,
you did.
and he is something
I heard
very
him.
special that I can tell you. Great future. Thank you very much for all you've done, Preston. Thank you very much.
Yes, kudos to Preston.
Preston's reverence for those who have served our nation reminds us of why we salute our flag, why we put our hands on our hearts for the Pledge of Allegiance, and why we
Look up the original
stand
salute of the
for
Pledge of
the
Allegiance
national anthem.
before World War II. When it was a Heil Hitler to the flag. Was the original Pledge of the Allegiance. How we saluted the flag. And the flag that's horizontal,
Yeah.
is that the true flag or the flag that's vertical? Which way do you see the flag there on the stage?
Up and down.
A government that shows them the
Vertical.
same love
Vertical.
and loyalty in return.
What do you think of that?
For the last year, we have sought to
Look it up,
restore the
people.
bonds of trust
Why is it
between
vertical?
our citizens and their government.
In the Oval Office.
Working with the Senate, we are appointing judges who will interpret the Constitution as written, including
Interpret the Constitution as it's written, not taking it
and
in
more
black and
Supreme
white.
Court judges
Their
than
interpretation
any new
of it.
administration in the history of our country.
His story of our country. A democracy, republic that was based upon the indigenous people's way of life in the North American continent.
We are totally defending our Second Amendment and have taken historic actions to protect religious liberty.
Second Amendment, right to bear arms, religious freedom, that is First Amendment.
Oh,
Interesting.
And we are serving our brave veterans, including giving our veterans choice in their healthcare decisions.
NeSe.
That's why the VA has taken away all of my pain medication and are currently giving me nothing
Nothing.
because it's my choice to not utilize their medications when I would rather be utilizing cannabis as my natural organic
Last
medication.
year, Congress also passed, and I signed, the landmark VA Accountability Act.
which I have not seen any kind of result occurs from with my VA.
My administration has already removed more than 1,500 VA employees who failed to give our veterans the care they deserve. And we are hiring talented people who love our vets as much as we do.
No, they are not, because there is a lot of positions that are open and needed to be filled. And if you look, where do a lot of physicians go out to pasture to wait out their last years of their lives? That cushy VA job.
I will not stop until our veterans are properly taken care of, which has been my promise to them from the very beginning of this great journey.
Maybe I need to make a journey to Washington disease, or maybe to St. Paul, and ask him
Accountability and respect.
for this
That's what we are giving
accountability and respect.
our wonderful heroes, our veterans. Thank you.
Hamblin.
So tonight I call on Congress to empower every cabinet secretary with the authority to reward good workers and to remove federal employees who undermine the public trust or fail the American people.
I mean, the words sound good. The words sound good, but he has speechwriters, probably 10, 12 of them, that have been working on this for how many days and revising
In our
it.
drive to make Washington accountable, we have eliminated more regulations in our first year than any administration in the history of our country.
Regulations that are allowing huge corporations to get away with things. What regulations? Give us examples. Have a bulletin board that posts all
We
of
have
these
ended
actions
war
he's
on
claiming.
American energy, and we have ended the war on beautiful, clean coal.
Clean coal. Clean coal. Because it burns so cleanly. What is coal? The hardening of oil.
We are now very proud
Oil and coal,
export
carbon, are they working
of the
together?
energy to the world.
And what is how many protons in a carbon? How many neutrons in a carbon?
Detroit,
How many
I hold
electrons?
government mandates
6.
that cripple
666
America's
in a
great,
carbon molecule.
beautiful workers, so that we can get Motor City
Fergie.
revving its engines again, and that's what's happening.
Reverend is what?
Revving is engines, because let's not remember how much they polluted the area that they were once in.
Many car companies are now building and expanding plants in the United States, something we haven't seen for decades. Chrysler is moving a major plant from Mexico to Michigan. Toyota and Mazda are opening up a plant in Alabama, a big one, and we haven't seen this in a long time. It's all coming back.
And the EPA's power is diminishing, and things are being passed that are allowing our country to be more pollutive or create more pollution.
Very soon, auto plants and other plants will be opening up all over our country. This is all news Americans are totally unaccustomed to hearing. For many years, companies and jobs were only leaving us. But now, they are roaring back, they're coming back, they want to be where the action is, they want to be in the United States of America. That's where they want to be.
Right, because if a corporation can get away with whatever they need to feed the board, to feed the elite, the top tier, they're going to do what they can to help pass what laws, because there's a bunch of lobbyists with major corporations.
Exciting progress is happening every single day. to speed access to breakthrough cures and affordable generic drugs, last year, the FDA approved more new and generic drugs and medical devices than ever before in our country's history.
The leader of the FDA was once a high Monsanto member. What? In the employment ranks of Monsanto. The
We
FDA.
also believe that patients,
And so now
terminal
they're allowing
conditions,
all of these
terminal
prescription
illness,
drugs to get on the market
should have
quicker.
access
I'd like to know how
to
much
experimental
money Trump
treatment
has invested
immediately that could
in the
potentially
pharmaceutical
save their
corporation.
That would
lives.
be.
People who are terminally ill should not have to go from country to country to seek a cure. I want to give them a chance right here at home. It's time for Congress to give these wonderful, incredible Americans the right to try.
I think the code word in this speech is the word time. That there has to do something with the number of times he says time, because it's crucial, I believe. But that statement he just said makes me think of the old get them all into
One of
public
my greatest
institutions because they feed the
is
system
to
more money.
reduce the price of prescription drugs.
Because they're already making an 800% markup. So even if they cut it in half, they'll be making over a 400% markup.
And it's very, very unfair. That is why I've directed my administration to make fixing the injustice of high drug prices one of my top priorities for the year.
Again, promises that we want to hear. And believe me, you understand that I am being a naysayer because it's all in the name.
Prices will come down substantially. Watch.
But I can't, I'm blind.
America has also finally turned the page on decades of unfair trade deals that sacrificed our prosperity and shipped
Here I am
our companies
on the road
our jobs,
again.
and our
Here I go.
wealth. Our nation
Turn
has
the
lost
page.
its wealth, but we're getting it back so fast. The era of economic surrender is totally over. From now on, we expect trading relationships to be fair and, very importantly, reciprocal.
You, Mr. Beale, have meddled in the forces. Watch the movie Network, because it's all business. Hey, don't take it personal. It's
We will
only
work to
business.
fix bad trade deals and negotiate new ones, and they'll be good ones, but they'll be fair. And we will protect American workers and American intellectual property through strong enforcement of our trade rules.
Commerce. Commerce. The Department of Commerce are also the
We
people
rebuild
that take
our
the
industry.
census.
It is also time to rebuild our crumbling infrastructure.
Uh-oh.
He went there.
Infrastructure.
He went there.
Government, if you're against me, say goodbye. Bye-bye. So I hope you're with him.
America is a nation of builders. We built the Empire State Building in just 1 year. Isn't it a disgrace that it can now take 10 years just to get
Row.
a minor permit approved
Row.
for the building
Row.
of a simple road?
Row. 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 Come on, manufacturers.
I am
Pick up the
asking both
pace.
parties to come together
Profit
to give us
faster.
safe, fast, reliable, and modern infrastructure that our economy needs and our people deserve.
Our economy first, people second. deserve profit, profit. We deserve profit.
Tonight I'm calling on Congress to produce a bill that generates at least $1.5 trillion for the new infrastructure investment that our country so desperately needs. Every federal dollar should be leveraged by partnering with state and local governments and, where appropriate, tapping into private sector investment to permanently fix the infrastructure deficit, and we can do it.
He just asked for $1 trillion to fix something and create something. I believe what that statement said.
Any bill must also streamline the permitting and approval process, getting it down to no more than 2 years and perhaps even 1. Together, we can reclaim our great building heritage.
An interesting statement, because a bill pushing it through Congress quicker.
Gleaming new roads, bridges, highways, railways, and waterways all across our land. And we will do it with American heart, American hands, and American grit.
This would be a reflection of the Teddy Roosevelt era, which he did to save an economy. But our economy is so strong.
We want every American to know the dignity of a hard day's work. We want every child to be safe in their home at night. And we want every citizen to be proud of this land that we all love so much.
Another redundant statement: we should know our children are safe in our home.
Welfare to work, from dependence to independence, and from poverty to prosperity.
That means if your indentured servitude is beneficial for the plan, you will get some freedom. As long as we get our assets, the United States citizens, to be able to produce, to contribute to the system.
Create new jobs. Let's invest in workforce development, and let's invest in job training, which we need so badly.
Workforce, the prisons, the prison corporations, the slave labor are cranking up production.
Let's open great vocational schools so our future
Hey,
workers
we went
can
there
learn and
again.
craft and realize their full potential.
Right, because your full potential is if you have a trade business. And do not believe, I absolutely respect the blue collar workers. And trade businesses are essential. But then we get into the question of unions and honesty and integrity.
Must be extended to all citizens. That is why this year we will embark on reforming our prisons to help former inmates who have served their time get a second chance at life.
State-funded secondary systems to where those with felonies and whatnot can work for the state.
Struggling communities, especially immigrant communities, will also be helped by immigration policies that focus on the best interests of American workers and American families. For decades, open borders have allowed drugs and gangs to pour into our most vulnerable communities. They've allowed millions of low-wage workers to compete for jobs and wages against the poorest Americans. Most tragically, they have caused the loss of many innocent lives. Here tonight are two fathers and two mothers, Evelyn Rodriguez.
And the poorest citizens in this country supposedly are the Native Americans, who aren't citizens because it's still their land. And they are having the worst, poorest economic, spiritual, religious, mental, physical challenges.
Of NeSe's 16th birthday, such a happy time it should have been. Neither of them came home.
Gang violence, native on native violence, drug violence,
While walking together.
every day on the reservations.
6 members
Real
of the
talk.
savage MS-13 gang have been charged with Kayla and NeSe's murders.
Charged, not
Many of these gang
convicted.
members took advantage of glaring loopholes in our laws to enter the country as illegal, unaccompanied, alien minors and wound up in Kayla and NeSe's high school.
So were they in the gang before they got here or after they got
Elizabeth, Freddie, and
here?
Robert, tonight everyone in this chamber,
And it's a horrific occurrence.
everyone in America.
I'm not arguing that, but look at the history of the horrific occurrences that have happened to the Native American, the original people of this country, where we have been fighting immigration since 1492. Where, yes, since we are the ones that are fighting immigration, not America. The Native Americans are fighting immigration.
Right.
And then the created America on the blood of our ancestry are now claiming their rights of immigration are being trampled on. Well, if they don't correct our original trampling of rights of the indigenous people in this continent, it's not going to change.
Right.
I want you to know that 320 million hearts are right now breaking for you. We love you. Thank you.
Was that a number he just got in his ear of how many people were listening to
But
this?
we cannot imagine the depths of that kind of sorrow. We can make sure that other families never
Oh, we can
have
imagine it. We see it every day on the media, in the movies, on television series. We see horrific deaths of people blowing apart and brains blasting apart, and slaughter and decapitation and gutting and electrocution. We know hostility. We know the injustice of man on man.
These are great, great people that work so hard in the midst of such danger so that this can never happen again.
And he was just talking about the Border Patrol and ISIS and all of these people that are working to stop this horrible, horrible challenge of undocumented workers, because a documented worker creates an asset for the corporation known as the America Corporation.
We are proud that we do more than any other country anywhere in the world to help the needy, the struggling, and the underprivileged all over the world.
Except right here in our country.
To the United States, my highest loyalty, my greatest compassion, my constant concern is for America's children, America's struggling workers, and America's forgotten communities.
The forgotten communities, the indigenous people, the original Americans.
Their chance to rise. So tonight I am extending an open hand to work with members of both parties, Democrats and Republicans, to protect our citizens of every background, color, religion, and creed.
Creed. Did you hear that?
Creed, yes. I don't know what creed means, but again, what about the indigenous people? When are we going to get back what we deserve? At least just give us our boundaries,
And the sacred
our
duty
boundaries of the reservation.
elected official in this chamber is to defend Americans, to protect their safety, their families, their communities, and their right to the American dream. Because Americans are dreamers too.
Redundancy. Yes, we're all dreamers. Because we all have to be dreamers. Because like George Carlin says, you have to be asleep in order to believe this. Because if you're asleep, if you're zombified.
One leader in the effort to defend our country, Homeland Security Investigation Special Agent Celestino Martinez. He goes by DJ and CJ. He said, call me either one. So we'll call you CJ. Served 15 years in the Air Force before becoming an ICE agent and spending the last 15 years fighting gang violence and getting dangerous criminals off of our streets. Tough job. At one point, MS-13 leaders ordered CJ's murder, and they wanted it to happen quickly. But he did not cave to threats or to fear. Last May, he commanded an operation to track down gang members on Long Island. His team has arrested nearly 400, including more than 220 MS-13 gang members. And I have to tell you, what the Border Patrol and ICE have done, we have sent thousands and thousands and thousands of MS-13 horrible people out of this country or into our prisons. So I just want to congratulate you, CJ. You're a brave guy.
That was
Thank you very much.
3,000, he said.
Yeah.
Thousands and thousands and thousands
Right.
in the prisons. Again, the corporate ran prisons.
Yeah. This guy's
Or putting them back across the border because they're undocumented citizens.
doing his job.
And I asked CJ, what's the secret? He said, we're just tougher than they are. And I like that answer.
We're tougher. We're willing to strike out. We're willing to drop the bomb.
Now let's get Congress to send you and all of the people in this great chamber have to do it. We have no choice. CJ, we're going to send you reinforcements, and we're going to send them to you quickly. It's what you need.
ISIS, Border Patrol, part of the wall. Build that wall because we need those
Over the next few
documented
weeks, the House
workers.
and Senate will be voting on an immigration reform package. In recent months, my administration has met extensively with both Democrats and Republicans.
But not the Native Americans and how they feel about immigration.
To immigration reform. Based on these discussions, we presented Congress with a detailed proposal that should be supported by both parties as a fair compromise. One where nobody gets everything they want, but where our country gets the critical reforms it needs and must have.
Excuse me. That wasn't a sneeze.
Oh, I thought you were.
I wanted to. It wasn't bile rising in my
Here
throat.
are the four pillars
I want to believe. Please believe me. I want to believe.
of our framework. Generously offers a path to citizenship for 1.8 million.
Research what citizenship
who were brought
is,
here by their
please.
parents at a young age. That covers almost 3 times more people than the previous administration covered.
Little dig at Obama.
Yeah.
More than once during this whole administration.
Under our plan, those who meet education and work requirements and show good moral character will be able to become full citizens of the United States over a 12-year period.
So if you come in as a legal documented
Second
worker,
pillar fully secures
we can charge
the
you for
border.
12 years. And then after we got our cut, we'll let you be a citizen. Because you're a potential asset, which puts you in a different tax bracket for the corporation to file
That
their
means
taxes.
building a great wall on the southern border, and it means hiring more heroes like CJ to keep our communities safe.
Now, if this was a great wall like China, made out of bricks and stones, you know, and it was like a tourist attraction
Yeah.
to where people could do some kind of like migration,
Unfortunately, our plan closes
I think that'd be cool.
to the loopholes exploited by criminals and terrorists to enter our country, and it finally ends the horrible and dangerous
With doors
practice
every 20
of
miles.
catch and release.
And I actually do like catch and release, where they got those inhumane hooks, especially for the sportsmanship fishermen.
Yeah.
The third pillar ends the visa lottery, a program that randomly hands out green cards without any regard for skill, merit, or the safety of American people.
I didn't know there was any type of unscrutinization on letting immigrants into this home. So this lottery thing is new to me.
It's time to begin moving toward a
Is it like bingo?
merit-based immigration system. One that admits people who are skilled, who want to work, who will
D9.
contribute to our society, and who will love and respect our country.
So then does that mean if we hold accountable those people that do minimal work and get extraordinary pays, they must leave and be banished from this country? Because who takes the most cuts from us? Politicians. They get the most benefits.
Migration.
And what is politician chain immigration?
What?
Where they let their children become politics and their children become
A
politicians.
single immigrant can bring in virtually unlimited numbers of distant relatives.
And
Under
what do
our
politicians
plan,
do?
we
Come my
focus
relatives,
on
come my
the immediate
friends,
family
come to Washington
by limiting
disease,
sponsorships,
and let me get you a job.
spouses, and minor children.
What if on the reservations we had open immigration policies with Mexico?
But for our security,
Right?
the future
In
of
Canada.
In recent weeks, 2 terrorist attacks in New York were made possible by the visa lottery and chain migration. In the age of terrorism, these programs present risks we can just no longer afford. It's time to reform. These outdated immigration rules and finally bring our immigration system into the 21st century.
What about the outdated politicians that have created a career out of being in Washington disease?
These 4 pillars represent a down-the-middle compromise.
4 pillars.
And one
Research
will
that,
create
people.
A safe, modern, and lawful immigration system.
Again, documented citizens are assets to the corporation known as the United States for America.
One that finally makes it happen. Most importantly, these 4 pillars will produce legislation that fulfills my ironclad pledge to sign a bill that puts America first.
America. America. What is America? A corporation? Or a country? Or its citizens? Or the people that reside within the borders?
So let's come together,
Right
set
now.
politics aside,
Over
and
me.
finally get the job done.
Get her done. Because that's all that matters. Business. Business. Mankind is my
Also
business.
support our response
Said Jacob Marley to Ebenezer
of
Scrooge.
opioid and drug addiction. Never before has it been like it is
Addiction?
now. It is terrible. We have to do something about it. In 2016, we lost 64,000 Americans to drug overdoses. 174 deaths per day, 7 per hour. We must get much tougher on drug dealers and pushers.
The VA is my drug dealer. The VA is my drug dealer. I have to beg them for my Oxycontins, for my heroin. I need to beg them so I can have pain relief, but I can't grow a plant in my home. I can't grow cannabis, but I have to beg them for relief with their Oxycontins.
To fighting the drug epidemic and helping get treatment for those in need. for those who have been so terribly
State
hurt.
and federally ran
Struggle
treatment
will be long
centers to
and will be
feed the
difficult, but as
system.
Americans always do, in the end, we will succeed, we will prevail.
Okay, look at the history of heroin. Please research it and how it's come to America. Look at the fact that veterans in body bags in their guts were heroin being mailed.
In America.
They were flown
We see
back
a vivid expression
to
of
the
this
United
spirit
States.
in the story of the Holletz family of New Mexico. Ryan Holletz is 27 years old, an officer with the Albuquerque Police Department. He's here tonight with his wife.
Now
Rebecca.
please look at the new officers. Look at the new uniforms of these officers. Look at how they are in their dress. Because I can't see, so you need to see what I can't see of how these guys are dressed. Look familiar?
All in black.
To inject heroin. When Ryan told her she was going to harm her unborn child, she began to weep. She told him she didn't know where to turn, but badly wanted a safe home for her baby. In that moment, Ryan said he felt God speak to him. You will do it because you can. He heard those words. He took out a picture of his wife and their 4 kids. Then he went home to tell his wife, Rebecca. In an instant, she agreed to adopt. The Holletz named their new daughter Hope. Ryan and Rebecca, you embody the goodness of our nation. Thank you.
Not a system of like, hey, we will sponsor you, we will help you raise this child to get you clean so you can live independently and raise your own child. But instead, we're going to adopt them. And don't get me wrong, there's a great need of foster parents, qualified, decent foster parents. But that's a horror story in itself.
As we rebuild America's
Child
strength
protection
and
agencies.
confidence at home, we are also restoring our strength and standing abroad. Around the world, we face rogue regimes, terrorist groups, and rivals like China and Russia that challenge our interests, our economy, and our values. In confronting these horrible dangers, we know that weakness is the surest path to conflict.
He just declared that China is a threat.
Is the surest means to our
Why have we, for how long, been buying
this reason,
products from
I am
China
asking
if there's such a threat?
the dangerous
And Russia.
defense
We have the
of
International Space
fully
Station,
fund
which is
our
mainly
great
funded by the United
military.
States and Russia. Yet there are threats, there are challenges. And North Korea is in league with who?
Yeah.
And what? And why? And war? And huh? And I want to believe, please,
As part of our defense,
believe
we
that.
must modernize and rebuild our nuclear arsenal, hopefully never having to use it.
But we're the only country that ever has.
strong And so powerful.
So powerful.
Deter any acts of aggression by any other nation.
You looking at me?
anyone else.
You looking at me? You must be looking at me because I don't see anybody else in the room. Not even Desi here. Do you see me?
Perhaps
Do
someday in
you
the future
care?
there will be a magical moment
Magical.
when the countries of the world will get together to eliminate their nuclear weapons. Unfortunately,
When we all can find our pixie dust and shake it on top and so we all can fly together. This magic
Last year,
moment.
I also pledged that we would work with our allies to extinguish ISIS from the face of the earth.
ISIS is here,
1
in my
year
bread box.
later, I am proud
Under
to
my counter.
report that the coalition to defeat ISIS has liberated very close
I
to
thought ISIS was
100%
created
of
by
the
the United States
just
and
recently
Israel.
held by these killers in Iraq and in Syria and in other locations as well.
Well, that's a deep subject. Look up the history of ISIS. Where did it come from? ISIS. If you move the I's over to the right on top of the S, what does it make? A $sign and a $sign.
But there is much more work to be done. We will continue our fight until ISIS is defeated. Army Staff Sergeant Justin Peck is here tonight. Near Raqqa, last November, Justin and his comrade, Chief Petty Officer Kenton Stacey, were on a mission to clear buildings that ISIS had rigged with explosive so that civilians could return to that city hopefully soon and hopefully safely. Clearing the second floor of a vital hospital, Kenton Stacey was severely wounded by an explosion. Immediately, Justin bounded into the booby-trapped and unbelievably dangerous and unsafe building and found Kenton, but in very, very bad shape.
Another example,
He
one
applied
example
pressure to
of
the wound
thousands of
and
other
inserted a tube
heroic things that occurred.
an airway.
And don't get me
Then
wrong,
performed CPR.
they deserve these honors and stuff, but again, I would rather be hearing more about what this administration is specifically doing to follow these promises that are being made.
And through emergency surgery. Kenton Stacey would have died if it were not for Justin's selfless love for his fellow warrior.
And why are we in Afghanistan and Pakistan?
He's recovering in
Look
Texas.
up heroin again,
Raqqa
and
is
look
liberated.
up United
Justin
States
is
military
wearing
personnel
his new
guarding
rockstar
heroin
V for Valor.
opium
Staff
fields.
Sergeant
What?
Peck. All of America salutes
Did he salute him?
No.
All America but him
Yeah.
salutes you. He had an opportunity to salute him right there, which I think would have been the cool military thing to do, since he just made that statement, America salutes you. But he didn't salute him, right?
No.
Correct me, audience, please. Please comment below on this, because I want you to yell at me and tell me how I'm wrong, because I want to be wrong. I want to believe this guy is the real deal. But his hair, that's not his real hair. That's not his real skin color. So is he already lying to us?
Terrorists who do things like
He has
place
makeup
bombs
on.
in
That's
civilian
not the real him.
hospitals Are evil. When possible, we have no choice but to annihilate them. When necessary, we must be able to detain and question them.
It says that the minute you're labeled a terrorist, they have the right to annihilate
These are
you.
not merely criminals. They are unlawful enemy combatants.
Look that up. Unlawful enemy combatants. Under all of these Patriot Acts, Victory Acts, Homeland Security Acts, all of these new things that were added since 9/11, technically we are all considered terrorists. Research that, please. It's all in the verbiage, the
And when
wordage,
captured
the
overseas, They
etymology.
should be treated like the terrorists they are. In the past, we have foolishly released hundreds and hundreds of dangerous terrorists, only to meet them again on the battlefield.
Because how many of them did we make deals with to create false flags
Who we captured
so that we can continue the agenda?
So today I'm keeping another promise. I just signed prior to walking in, an order directing Secretary Mattis, who is doing a great job. Thank you.
Research that individual, Secretary Mattis. Interesting, but this is the big mind blower, people. This is it. Listen to this next statement with full ears and open minds.
To re-examine our military detention policy and to keep open the detention facilities in Guantanamo Bay.
Keep 'em open.
Look at the laws about how they can torture people outside of the United States. But also look at the torture ships, the prison ships of the military.
ISIS and Al-Qaeda. We continue to have all necessary power to detain terrorists wherever we chase them down, wherever we find them.
Including in America.
And then it will now be Guantanamo Bay.
Home is free.
And I believe that if Guantanamo Bay is going to be held open,
At
the
same
first
time,
the first people that should be held there are those that are in Washington disease right now.
Hear you, hear you.
Along with their heroic Afghan partners, our military is no longer undermined by artificial timelines, and we no longer tell our enemies our plans.
When have we ever
Done that.
ever purposely told our enemies our plans? Please, someone explain that one too, because I have not found that yet. Have they accidentally found our plans? Have they spied on us? Yes, they figured out our plans.
By the U.S. Senate just months before, I recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel.
Say what?
Trillions of dollars is given to Israel to help them with whatever they need. Israel is ISIS, Amun-Ra, Elohim.
Dozens of countries voted in the United Nations General Assembly against America's sovereign right to make this decision. In 2016, American taxpayers generously sent those same countries more than $20 billion in aid. That is why tonight I am asking Congress to pass legislation to help ensure American foreign assistance dollars always serve American interests and only go to friends of America, not enemies of America.
And the countries and the sovereign entities that are friends of America are the reservations. So all of this currency that are going to our friends should go back to the indigenous people. I'm being biased here, yes.
Friendships all around the world, we are also restoring clarity about our adversaries. When the people of
Squeegee
Iran
in your
rose
third
up
eye
against
will have
the crimes
clarity.
of their corrupt dictatorship, I did not.
What about
stay
this
silent.
corrupt dictatorship right here?
America stands with the people of Iran in their courageous struggle for freedom.
Ooh, shout out to Iran, possible
Oh.
target in the future. So he just said something about Iran, about China,
Yeah.
about the Soviet Union.
Right.
I am asking
Or Russia,
Congress
sorry.
to address the fundamental flaws in the terrible Iran nuclear deal. My administration has also imposed tough sanctions on the communist and socialist dictatorships in Cuba and Venezuela.
That statement needs to be re-examined over and over again because he's calling out other countries
But no
as a threat.
regime has oppressed its own citizens more totally or brutally than the cruel dictatorship in North Korea.
Here we go.
His
Yeah.
reckless pursuit of nuclear missiles could very soon threaten our homeland. We are waging a campaign
Das
of
Vaterland.
maximum pressure
Motherland.
to prevent that from ever happening. Past experience has taught us that complacency and concessions only invite aggression and provocation. I will not repeat the mistakes of past administrations that got us into this very dangerous position. We need only look at the depraved character of the North Korean regime to understand the nature of the nuclear threat it could pose to America and to our allies. Otto Warmbier was a hard-working student at the University of Virginia, and a great student he was. On his way to study abroad in Asia, Otto joined a tour to North Korea. At its conclusion, this wonderful young man was arrested and charged with crimes against the state. After a shameful trial, the dictatorship sentenced Otto to 15 years of hard labor before returning him to America last June, horribly injured and on the verge of death. He passed away just days after his return. Otto's wonderful parents,
Please research this
Fred and Cindy
and
Warmbier,
send me your comments. I haven't researched it
with
yet,
us tonight, along with Otto's
but
brothers
my
and sisters.
conspiracy senses are tingling horrifically from this story. Because it's a great tearjerker. It's a great heart-wrencher story. Look at the history of the Korean War. Until we acknowledge the people that perpetrated the falseness to go into the Korean War, how can we heal with our relationship with Korea? Also, look at the river that runs right through the middle of Korea, where allegedly we threaten them that if they don't stay in line, we'll just contaminate the whole river and wipe out
Incredible people.
your whole country.
You are powerful witnesses to a menace that threatens our world, and your strength truly inspires us all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Yes, are we witnessing powers that should not be? Oh Lordy, Lordy, I want to believe. Please give me the strength to believe.
Tonight we pledge to honor Otto's memory with total American resolve. Thank you.
American resolve.
Finally,
I want to know that
we are
definition.
joined by one more witness to the ominous nature of this regime. His name is Mr.
This regime.
Ji Sung-ho.
What regime is he talking about again?
In 1996, Sung-ho was a starving boy in North Korea. One day he tried to steal coal from a railroad car.
Beautiful, beautiful
in order
coal.
For a few scraps of food, which were very hard to get. In the process, he passed out on the train tracks, exhausted from hunger. He woke up as a train ran over his limbs. He then endured multiple amputations without anything to dull the pain or the hurt. His brother and sister gave what little food they had to help him recover and ate dirt themselves, permanently stunting their own growth. Later, he was tortured by North Korean authorities after returning from a brief visit to China. His tormentors wanted to know if he'd met any Christians.
Another heart-wrenching story about Christians being attacked.
To be free. Sung-ho
Gut-wrenching,
traveled
horrific.
thousands of
If it's
miles on
true,
crutches all across
it gives
China.
Christians an extra, we're mad at North Korea.
Most of his family followed. His father was caught.
However, look up about two boys in Arkansas, Mena, Arkansas, that supposedly smoked some marijuana and fell asleep on the railroad tracks. What happened to them? Mena, Arkansas, railroad
the truth.
incident.
Today he has a new leg, but somehow I understand you still keep those old crutches as a reminder of how far you've come.
And I still keep my old crutches as a reminder of the time when I was able to walk.
Please, thank you.
I have those old crutches here today in my home because as I dwindled in health and lost my ability to walk, could no longer use those crutches. Where the VA is there helping me all the way by giving me a wheelchair. And like Chris Rock said, I didn't say I had a problem with sitting. I have a problem with walking.
Somehow the story is a testament to the yearning of every human soul to live in freedom. It was that same yearning for
Freedom isn't free.
250 years ago gave birth to a special
The tree of
place
freedom must be
called
watered.
America. It was a small cluster of colonies caught between a great ocean and a vast wilderness. It
A
was
wilderness.
home to an incredible people with a revolutionary idea. That
Not
they
the
could
original people.
rule themselves.
He's talking about the original
They
colonists.
could chart their own destiny.
Manifest
That
destiny.
Together, they could light up the entire world. That is what our country
Illumination.
has always been about.
Light up.
That is what Americans have always stood for, always strived for, and always done. Atop the dome of this capital
Here we go.
stands the Statue of Freedom.
The dome.
She stands tall and
The statue
dignified
above the dome, the woman, is actually Columbus, Columbia, Colum.
monuments to
Look
Washington
it up.
and Jefferson and Lincoln and King.
The dome, the ovum,
Memorials
the woman,
to the heroes
the
of
womb.
Yorktown and Saratoga. To young Americans who shed their blood on the shores of Normandy and the fields beyond, and others who went down in the waters of the Pacific and the skies
the veterans,
all over Asia.
the veterans that have gave their lives for this country
Over one
to be
more
what it is.
monument.
And what
This
is it?
one, this capital.
The
This is
capital,
monument.
the dome.
This is the monument to the American people.
Monument to show you freedom.
We're chanting it.
Chant on Babylon. Chant on Babylon.
We're a people whose heroes lived not only in the past, but all around us, defending hope, pride, and defending the American way. They work in
Defending
every
pride.
job. They sacrifice.
Should pride be
to
defended?
raise a family. They care for our children at home.
No.
They defend our flag abroad. And they are strong moms and brave kids. They are firefighters and police officers and border agents, medics and Marines. But above all else, they are Americans. And this capital, this city, this nation belongs entirely to them.
So I suggest we go there and take it back.
Hear ye, hear ye.
He just declared it's ours,
Right.
but I don't believe it's being used for our benefit.
Our task is to respect them, to listen to them, to serve them, to protect them, and to always be worthy of them. Americans fill the world with art and music. They push the bounds of science and discovery, and they forever remind us of what we should never, ever forget. The people dreamed this country. The people built this country. And it's the people who are making America great again.
Again, I placate. America in what contents? The corporation? Because I would rather much hear about the people more than America. Because aren't we generalizing?
As long as we are proud of who we are and what we are fighting for, there is nothing we cannot achieve. As long as we have confidence in our values, faith in our citizens, and trust in our God, we will never fail. Our families will thrive. Our people will prosper. And our nation will forever be safe and strong and proud and mighty and free. Thank you, and God bless America. Good night.
Okay, you've heard
Wow.
it. You've heard
sure
it.
have.
You've heard us talk through it. You know, am I biased? Do I like Trump? I don't know him. I do not know him, so I cannot make any opinion on it. Do I trust him? No, not at all. I don't trust him. I don't believe I have really trusted politicians in a long time. And this is my number one reason why. Because as a Native American veteran with 100% disability, in a wheelchair, crippled up with horrible pain and no vision. And I am an individual that swore an oath to protect and defend the Constitution against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And this government, this system, purposely gave me inoculations that wreaked havoc on my body and put me in this situation that I am in. And through my research and investigation, there is literally almost 1 million people from the first Gulf War that are sick with strange ailments and diseases, and over 100,000 dead, with billions of immediate family members affected from such things. And if these powers that should not be within the United States, whether you want to call them the deep state, the secret government, the Illuminati, whatever, I call them the powers that shouldn't be. But they purposely did this to me, a Native American veteran who swore an oath. So do you really believe that they care about you, the common person? There was a conspiracy where we witnessed the President of the United States getting his head blown up with a bullet. And if such a horrific occurrence could be orchestrated by people within the government, whether or not this is still occurring, something is wrong. And we know this. And we have the choice to be the action to make the change occur. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. I want to be wrong. I don't need to be wrong, But it would be good if I am wrong. Because if I'm wrong, then things are going to be just fine. But if I'm right, we need to get prepared. And in that preparedness, we need to be just fine with the belief that when this existence is over, it's not the end, it's not the critical end, because we Anishinaabe believe that we are not physical humans, that we are spirits experiencing a physical world. And just like a magnet, if you take that magnetic field out of the steel, it's not that it just disappeared. It's just no longer in that piece of steel. So when our time has, or when our illusion is over, then it's not the end, it's not the beginning. It's just the cycle, the circle of life. And we take insurance for health, for our cars and our homes, but do we take insurance for our spirits, for our souls? So please comment if you want to get a hold of Desi.
Desigokey at gmail.com. DESIGOKEY. And NeSe, how do we get a hold of you?
Comment at the end of this. I think there's an email somewhere within all of this. So
Okay.
please yell at me, scream at me. Well, no, you don't. I don't want you screaming. Try to be a little respectful. Don't hurt me too much. But thank you for listening. Chimigwich, Ape Gish Bimad Ziwewian. And of course, toodles.
Kigawaban and what?